For the next few moments, let us sit with a simple human question. How do we stop overthinking? Not by fighting the mind, not by demanding instant silence, but by learning to recognize when thought has stopped helping us and begun carrying us away. Imagine this. It is late. The house is quiet. The dishes are done. The messages have been answered. The people who depend on you no longer need anything tonight. Your body is tired enough to rest, but your mind has just called another meeting. It begins with one small thought, something a colleague said earlier, a decision you made at work, a conversation with your spouse, a change in your child's voice, a bill that needs attention, a medical appointment you have been postponing. At first, it seems harmless. You are only thinking about it. Then, the thought multiplies. Did I handle that correctly? Should I have said more? Did I disappoint them? What if this decision causes problems later? What if my health is worse than I think? What if I am not prepared for what comes next? Soon, you are no longer lying quietly in your room. You are in yesterday. You are in next month. You are inside several imagined conversations that may never happen. Nothing visible has changed. The room is still quiet. The night is still here. Your body is still resting. But inside, you are working. You are preparing explanations, rehearsing difficult conversations, defending yourself against possibilities, trying to solve a future that, in this moment, has not yet asked to be solved. This is why overthinking is so exhausting. It feels like useful work, while often carrying us away from the only place where life can actually be lived, the present moment. And yet, we should not begin by judging the overthinking mind too harshly. Most of the time, overthinking is not stupidity. It is not weakness. It is not a failure of discipline. It is frightened intelligence, trying to protect you. It says, if I replay the conversation enough times, perhaps I will understand what went wrong. If I imagine every possible outcome, perhaps I will not be caught unprepared. If I examine every silence, expression, and change in tone, perhaps I can prevent rejection, conflict, illness, or loss. The mind is trying to build safety out of thought. When you see this, something begins to soften. You stop treating the mind as an enemy. You begin to see it as a tired guard standing at the door, convinced that if it remains awake all night, nothing painful will enter. But a guard who never rests eventually begins to see danger everywhere. Perhaps you know this feeling. One unanswered email becomes proof that something is wrong. One tense conversation becomes a sign that a relationship is failing. One forgotten name becomes evidence that your mind is declining. One unexpected expense becomes a future financial crisis. One uncertain decision becomes an entire life collapsing in advance. The mind does not simply think about life. It begins rehearsing disasters in the hope of preventing them. But the body does not always distinguish clearly between a danger that is present and one that exists only in imagination. So while the mind moves through possible futures, the body begins living them. The chest tightens, the jaw hardens, the stomach contracts, the breath becomes shallow. You may be safe in your home, but your nervous system responds as though the danger has already arrived. This is the hidden cost of overthinking. It does not only fill the mind, it teaches the body to live inside a future that has not happened. So, what can we do? The usual advice is simple. Stop thinking, let it go, calm down. But anyone who has truly overthought knows how unhelpful those words can feel. Telling the mind to stop thinking is like telling water not to be wet. The more forcefully you demand silence, the louder the inner argument becomes. One part of you worries. Another part becomes angry that you are still worrying. Now the mind has even more material to work with. Perhaps the first step is not to stop thinking. Perhaps the first step is to stop believing that every thought must be followed. That is different. A thought may appear without becoming a task. A fear may arise without becoming a prophecy. A memory may return without becoming a courtroom in which you are both the accused and the judge. You do not have to answer every inner notification. We understand this in daily life. Not every letter requires an immediate reply. Not every phone call must interrupt dinner. Not every request deserves an automatic yes. At some point, we learn that attention is limited and must be used carefully. But within ourselves, we often forget. A thought appears and we open it. Then another. Then another. Soon, we are deep inside a chain of mental messages, none of which has brought clarity or peace. What if your attention could become gentler, but also more selective? Not harsh, not controlling, simply wiser. You might notice a thought and say inwardly, I see you. You are trying to protect me, but I do not need to follow you right now. This is not avoidance. It is discernment. Some thoughts are useful. They help us prepare, apologize, make decisions, set boundaries, or repair something that needs attention. But many thoughts are not asking us to act. They are asking us to spiral. They bring no new information. They repeat the same fear in different words. A useful thought leaves you clearer, even when the truth is difficult. A spiral leaves you smaller, tighter, and more afraid. That distinction can change everything. When a thought is useful, take one honest step. Make the appointment. Have the conversation. Review the finances. Write down the decision that must be made. But when a thought only repeats the same pain without movement, perhaps it does not need more analysis. Perhaps it needs kindness. Perhaps it needs rest. Perhaps it needs the body. There is an old wisdom that reminds us that not everything becomes clearer through force. Muddy water does not clear because we shake it harder. It becomes clear when we allow it to settle. The overthinking mind is often like that water. It is stirred by fear, responsibility, regret, uncertainty, and memory. Because we want clarity, we stir it again. We analyze more intensely. We repeat the same question. We search for one final answer that will remove all uncertainty. But the effort to force clarity may be the very thing keeping the water cloudy. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is stop stirring. Not forever, not irresponsibly, only long enough for something inside you to settle. This may look very ordinary. You close the laptop. You place the phone in another room. You feel your feet on the floor. You drink a glass of water. You step outside for 2 minutes. You tell yourself, I will not make this decision from panic. I will let the night pass before answering. I will allow my body to return before asking my mind to interpret everything. These are small gestures. But small gestures matter because overthinking often lives in the distance between the mind and the body. The mind travels everywhere. The body remains here. When you return to the body, you are not escaping reality. You are returning to the part of reality that is actually present. The chair beneath you, the room around you, the air entering and leaving, the hand resting on your chest. The simple fact that this moment is not asking you to solve your entire life. This may not feel like a dramatic transformation. It may feel like only 1% more space. But sometimes 1% is enough. Enough not to send the email from fear. Enough not to reopen the argument late at night. Enough not to make a major decision while exhausted. Enough to sleep before trying to solve tomorrow. Enough to remember that you are a human being, not an emergency system. Perhaps this is the deeper hope. You do not need to become someone who never overthinks. That would only become another impossible project for the mind to manage. You only need to recognize the moment when thinking stops serving you and begins tightening around you. You can ask gently, is this thought helping me see more clearly? Or is it asking me to suffer in advance? If it helps you see, stay with it. Listen carefully. Take the next practical step. If it asks you to suffer in advance, return. Return to the breath. Return to the room. Return to the weight of your body in the chair. Return to the small responsibility directly in front of you. Return to what can actually be touched, said, repaired, decided, or rested. Life rarely asks us to solve everything at once. Usually, it asks for one honest response, one next step, one calmer breath, one moment of not abandoning ourselves. So when the mind begins to run, do not hate it for running. It may have been running for many years because it believed that constant vigilance was the only way to keep you and those you love safe. But you can teach it slowly that safety is not always found in more thinking. Sometimes safety begins when you stop treating every thought as an alarm. Sometimes peace begins when you allow one question to remain unanswered until morning. Sometimes the wisest sentence is not, I have finally figured everything out. It is simply, I do not have to solve every thought before I am allowed to rest. Let that be the practice today. When the mind begins another meeting, pause. Feel your feet. Take one slow breath. Ask whether the thought is useful or whether it is repeating fear. If action is needed, choose one small step. If no action is possible now, allow the thought to wait. You do not have to solve every thought before you are allowed to rest. Some questions become clearer tomorrow. Some problems need one action, not another hour of worry. And some moments ask for nothing more than your willingness to return to the life that is here.